Gonna hit the record button and we can fill for a minute and then we can go.
All right.
So this is us filling for a minute. Spoilers.
Yes.
Mother of Runes is uncommon. Originally.
Right.
Yes. As well it should be. Hashtag bring back mom at uncommon.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at hashtags, so that's the best I got.
You quit watching what? Hellier. Is that when something is helly, but it's worse than it was before? No, wait, I'm thinking hellish. Hellisher? Hellisher sounds like a kitchen utensil, doesn't it?
Hella sure sounds like a gritty comic book character.
Ah, it's one of the it's one of the names for Spawn that got thrown out.
It sounds like a Seth MacFarlane name.
A Seth MacFarlane,
Yeah.
the guy who does Family Guy.
Todd McFarlane.
Okay, it was like
Well, now I'm picturing Spawn.
actually it
but
does
with-
kind of sound like something you'd see in Family Guy.
I'm picturing Spawn, but with Brian the dog's voice. Because he, Seth does Brian's voice. So I just want to hear him say the word Malbogia, whatever it is. I don't know. I saw the movie like 20 years ago. That's all I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even like it when I was a kid. When I was real into Spawn.
I got the soundtrack on cassette from this like gift grab bag thing that my uncle got. Just a bunch of cheap tapes, and it's pretty banging.
Wait, what?
The Spawn soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the Spawn soundtrack is freaking sick.
Yeah.
And then there was the HBO series, which was brilliant and very, very R-rated. I used to watch it with Mom.
Somehow Jimmy rented it when he was not nearly old enough. And I started watching it with him, and I'm like, this doesn't seem appropriate. And then Dad came into the room during a very bad scene, and he's like, you're letting your brother watch this? I'm like, you rented it for him? I was...
Anyway, okay, so that's enough time filling, I think. Is it better than the Killer Instinct or MK soundtrack? Killer Instinct was just... I had that. I got it from... Was it Nintendo Power or something?
It's like the soundtrack for the game, or was there a movie?
No, there wasn't a movie.
Oh, okay.
So the Spawn soundtrack was cool because all the tracks, at least most of the tracks, were either... what's the word I'm looking for? Where two artists work together?
Collaboration.
Yeah,
That's
the collaboration.
They were either a
mashup
collaboration or one artist did a song and another one remixed it.
Things, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I remember the one of them was the Marilyn Manson song remixed by the Sneaker Pimps, and that was not good.
That one was weird.
But then there was the one by Korn and the Dust Brothers, which was pretty sick.
Yeah, and the one with Orbital and Kirk Hammett. I like that a lot too.
Yeah. What was the other one? It was somebody did the vocals over a Crystal Method song.
Oh, crap. Which one? I know what you're talking about. I can't remember who it was.
Because I've heard the Crystal Method song in later years.
Was that Filter and Crystal Method?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
I think it was. Awesome. Yeah. That was banging.
Mm.
Anyway, okay, now let's start the actual podcast. Ouch. Oh, the KI soundtrack came with the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I had it then.
Yeah, and the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, people are also mentioning that. Yeah, it was just kind of okay house music. There was another one, it was called More Combat, and it was like, I think, songs inspired by the movie. They didn't actually appear on the soundtrack. More Combat. I like that a lot. But anyway,
Trip like I do. That's the one.
that's what it was.
Thank
yes.
you, Pinball Witch. Okay, now that we've solved that, let's start the podcast for real, for real. For real. For real. All right, so a few seconds of silence. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 575 of the Mana Pool, and I am Chewy. Hi. I'll be your driver this evening. Please help yourself to bottled water, and please rate me 5 stars. Or 5 out of 5, whatever. I don't know. I've never taken an Uber. We missed last week because Thanksgiving here in America. Right? That was last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. And then
Seems
we
like
missed
forever
this
ago.
week. Wait, no, we didn't miss this week. We're recording this week. Yes. So, I have these dorks over here. Hi, dorks.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler. I am the tangent master of the group. And if I hadn't had an animality, I would probably turn into a dog. And not like a vicious attack dog, but just like, a domesticated dog. And I'd sit down and, get you your paper and be a good boy. I don't know if that helps you or not.
So it'd be like a friendship animality?
Friendship, yes, exactly. There you go. Friendship babality. Wait, no. Friendship animality. I don't know. I didn't play these games. I was bad.
The friendship ability would be when you turn into a baby and then give them flowers.
No, the animality, friendship, babality. I'm going to turn into a dog and going to go rescue your baby from. Like,
There we
car or
go.
something. Scorpion Maine all the way.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy, and I think I just got too confused by where Brian was going with that to try to follow up with something similar of my own.
Do your own thing.
Blah, blah, blah. Can't talk. What's wrong?
That is, in fact, your own thing. Good job.
We'll fix it in post.
And
We all
I
know
am
that
Dirk.
Mike's animality would be he would turn into a demon and then he would kill himself.
Friendship?
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I eagerly await tomorrow so that I can see what's going to happen on The Mandalorian.
How many episodes are out already?
4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How many episodes are in a season?
This will be 8. There's
Okay.
8 in this season.
Nice.
So it feels like half the streaming services do the, hey, here's all the episodes at once, like Stranger Things. And then the other half do actual releases like Man in the High Castle, things like that. Like this, I guess, where you actually have to wait. So.
Oh, was Man in the High Castle released episodically?
Pretty sure?
Cool. I didn't know that.
I haven't actually watched it in a couple seasons.
I
So.
just-
And the last
read the book.
season of the last couple seasons of Great British Baking Show that have been exclusive to Netflix were released sequentially, week by week, instead of all at once.
Neat.
I know Carrie prefers the get everything at once because she doesn't like to wait. She gets upset when the season is over. So. But that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? Did I
And
get
if
the wrong?
I was an animality,
You'd be Chewy. I mean,
what?
Like-
Chewbacca is not an animal. That's racist. I would turn into a teddy bear.
Oh.
Or maybe I'd turn into a kitty and like rub on your leg and then make biscuits on your chest and then your heart would explode. Not because I did it, but out of love.
Brutality.
Yay, biscuits. Anyway,
I like biscuits.
so kitty biscuits? They're the best kind. Anyway, so oddly enough, this is not What If We Were Mortal Kombat Characters podcast. I know it's hard to believe.
Did Dirk introduce himself?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. He
Okay.
said he was looking forward to The Mandalorian.
That's right.
We were all doing our own things, so because you can't pick an animal. Man.
If Dirk was an animality, he'd be a baby Yoda.
Could be. Which
You're
means
50
I would
years
be
old?
the mean king of the world.
Or he'd be a... Let's see. Let's think of something that's actually Dirkish. He'd be like a WoW pet.
Like a mount?
No, a pet.
A WoW pet.
Okay.
That
That
is
means
a
I'd
thing.
be essentially be like a Pokemon WoW version.
Yeah. What's your current pet in WoW, Dirk?
I'm just got a holiday thing, so I'm rocking the Zerg Bangling, the Thor, and some other random holiday gift.
There
He
you go.
doesn't even know. He's very attached to his pets, you can tell.
Yeah, they're in the house somewhere.
Yeah, my problem is that once they get to a certain point, I'm like, okay, they're all 25s. Okay, next round of 25s.
We went to the shelter and adopted a dog today. What kind of dog? What'd you name it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, we got a dog, though.
It's around here somewhere. It poops in the house. I don't know.
Get home. Wait, that's a cat.
Walk in the door and a velociraptor jumps on you. Like, wait a minute. Anyway. So yeah, you can tell we're back after an absence because we can't get on topic at all because we have like a week and change of not talking to each other hardly.
Mm-hmm.
So we
This
miss
reminds
each
me of
other.
something. That...
But no, so for real, what we're doing this week is another Mythic Conscription. Mythic Conscription.
Dun.
Dun, dun. Mythic Conscription is a segment where we go through old sets before there was a mythic rarity, because that didn't kick in until Shards?
Shards of Alara.
Yeah. And we try to find which of the rares in that set, if any, would be mythic if mythic rarity was a thing back then. And
Yes.
y'all, I'm freaking out.
What's up?
So, okay, in order to stream on the Switch, this is just the thing that's been bugging me all night. In order to stream on the Switch, I had to get, and to have the audio and the video all synced up properly so I could hear it all right, I had to get this little HDMI converter. And it's got like a ring of chrome around the faceplate. And when I move my head the way that it's currently sitting, the lights will reflect off of it into my eye, and I will see something out of the corner of my eye. And I keep turning my head to go, what is that? Oh.
That would drive me crazy.
It is driving me up the wall. I keep trying to reposition it so that doesn't... And I knocked a bunch of crap off the desk.
That also sounds like me. So
just take a black marker to it.
I'm about 20 minutes away from that. So if you hear me go, ah! And get up and walk away in the middle of the show. Oh, wait, if I just turn it all the way. Okay, now it doesn't happen.
Or is there
Yay!
a place where you could just like drape a napkin over it?
I'm
Or
going
something?
to drape a napkin over you in a minute.
Probably deserve it.
that
So,
is the oddest threat I've heard all day. Not all year, but easily the weirdest threat I've heard all day. So kudos.
thank you. So, the next set up for grabs last Mythic Conscription, we did Urza Saga.
Yes,
which
we
was
begin.
classically overpowered set.
Yeah, and kind of a hallmark for starting one of the most OP blocks ever.
Yes. And so now we're doing the second set in the block, Urza's Legacy.
Will it live up to the hype?
Quick
Find out.
spoiler.
Yeah, when I was looking over this, like, except for a few cards that are just blatantly silly, does this seem unusually safe?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
We'll
I
get
went
in-
through this
yeah.
and thought, that's nothing on my list screams mythic. Like literally nothing on my list. I'm going, I'm
What?
picking something from each color. None of these things I would consider to be mythic.
Really? I felt like there were some solid contenders, But I do agree with Mike in the sense that, except for one or two cards that I'm like, I know from history are problematic, none of it is that bad. But I didn't have a whole lot of problems picking cards for this segment, except for one color, which was a complete surprise to me. But we'll get to that. Before we get into the individual colors, sometimes we pick out and talk about cycles, and there is one cycle of cards in this rarity. It's the enchantments during your upkeep. If some condition is met, then sack this and do something. That's a highly technical name for a cycle, I know, but that's what they do. Do we want to address that, or do we just want to start going color by color? And anybody?
So I zoned out for a hot second there.
You okay?
Well, I was trying to. So, A Wolves Den Games is now hosting. Is that sound that you listeners heard a minute ago? And I was trying to thank them in the chat, so I didn't have to, but I couldn't get the name to pop up in the chat when I hit @ So I was going, wait, what? And so I didn't hear anything you just said.
Yeah, so he was talking about the cycle of enchantments that wait for some condition during the upkeep and then sacrifice themselves and do something.
I mean, I figure we'll just hit those as necessary because none of them are great.
That's
okay. One of them is great.
That usually, not always. Usually, when you're talking about a cycle, it's very odd to have one or two mythic without the rest of them being mythic. But we have seen exceptions to that before. So I was just curious if we wanted to go ahead and tackle them as a group, or just go color by color. Sounds like you want to go color by color, and I am A-okay with that.
Oh,
so, and Mother of Runes was printed at Uncommon.
So she is right out.
She is right out. So
which is
White.
Really weird.
White, I had one very strong contender, and then I looked at the rest, and I'm like, I have a plan A and a plan B, and then it falls off pretty significant.
Wow, you had two?
Yeah. I guess I'll start with my first one. Radiant Archangel. That's Radiant, Archangel, not like Radiant Archangel. That's the problem with naming things, adjective names. It's like lovely, the something. If you name her lovely, it's going to get confusing. Radiant is important for storyline purposes. She's kind of the angel that took over.
Sorry, what popped in my head is lovely, body double. And I don't know why, but now I'm like, wait, so that's her name? Hold on.
Right. So while Chewie's dealing with that, Radiant is important for the storyline because she's the angel that kind of assumed command of Sarah's realm when Sarah left. And if you read the novelization of what's going on here, she's as it's covered by the novels. I don't remember the name of the exact novel that goes over Urza's legacy, but I did read it a long time ago. She's pretty important. She actually becomes an enemy of Urza. But she's also kind of a mythic effect. Or she's kind of huge for what she is. Let me pull up the Oracle text here. So for 3 and 2 white, she's a legendary angel, which is pretty cool. She's a 3/3, which doesn't sound that great, but she has flying and vigilance. So she's already kind of a callback to Sarah Angel. And she gets +1/+1 for each other creature with flying on the battlefield. Is this mythic today? Question mark. But I'd say absolutely at the time. Yes, this is a figure that's important to the set from a story perspective. It has the potential to get pretty big if you build around the themes that you want her to. And it's an angel, which is in and of itself one of those extremely iconic creature types. So I feel like, yeah, she could maybe get there. What do you guys think about Radiant, Archangel?
She was the thing that I put on my list, yeah. Just because of all the things you said. She's big and legendary and important and pretty impressive, I think, for the time. Because remember, this is still back when creatures were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike?
That wasn't my pick, but your explanation convinced me. You're right. She's special enough and cool enough and um, features in the story. That makes sense to me.
Oops. There we go.
I want to hear what your pick was, but since we haven't heard from Dirk yet on Dirk, Radiant, thumbs up or thumbs down? You said you didn't really
The
have
legendary
any.
creatures, I think, from back in the day would essentially all have been mythic.
Well,
Like, just, I mean,
Or-
not to say that they
A
were
lot of
good.
them.
I'm not saying that they were good. I'm saying that at this time and everything, I feel that probably the legendary creatures would have sort of run that route of being mythic. I
Okay.
don't think it's until Kamigawa that we ended up with legendary creatures that were uncommon.
I believe you're accurate.
Yes, I think like the vanilla ones in Legends were uncommon, but they don't count because they're just stupid vanilla cool
Savitri
creatures.
Scarzo.
Yeah.
Uncommon back then doesn't mean what uncommon means now.
Right.
So, okay.
So, I mean, I agree that at that time it would probably have been mythic. Yes.
I know that as we've been doing the Mythic Conscription, and you guys have heard me say this, when a creature is legendary or another permanent is legendary, for me that is one of the boxes I look for. It's not automatic, but it is definitely this is heading in that direction. So Mike, before I tell you, well, Chewy, were you gonna say something?
No.
Okay. Before I tell you what my backup plan was, Mike, I'm curious if maybe you had as mythic what my plan B was, and I'm curious. What were you thinking?
Oh, Mike, do it on three. You ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Karmic
Karmic
Guide.
God. Yeah.
Karmic God was my plan B.
Mhm.
It was my morning after. Is that no? Ooh,
Whoa,
do we have
no.
to cut that? Do we have to cut that? We may have to cut that. Ooh,
Golly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
Are we gonna get out of time? It's my fault. 2019, the Mana Pool canceled because of Brian.
Cause of Brian. Way to go, Brian.
Note the time. I just kept saying Plan B, and I'm like, So, all right, let's move on. So, my second choice
I'm not
was
cutting
also on your list. I mean, hope if you're offended by. Anyway,
Okay,
let's not
Brian,
worry.
shut up. Keep going.
Yes. So, Karmic Guide. What's it do?
So
Please, someone else
Guide.
speak.
Okay, so let me get the oracle text. 3 white. It's 2/2 angel spirit with flying, protection from black, and echo 3 white. So you got to pay its cost again at the beginning of your next upkeep. So when Karmic Guide enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's not just a reanimation spell. You also get a cool little creature along with your reanimation spell. And I think it struck me as nice and flashy enough that it would make a compelling mythic. Not just because we know it's powerful, but it's nice and flashy.
This is one of the ones that for me it is a little harder to separate the history from it because this is kind of a combo piece. But I agree. I felt like on its own. Okay, so you've got Echo, which is the mechanic of the set, right? So it's drawing attention to, hey, here's something new that we're doing. Once again, Angel, and very strong effect. Like very, very strong effect. This is not it's okay. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten better. It's one of those mechanics that literally gets better with every creature they print. But even still, even with creatures not being that great, this gets, in a time when removal was amazing, the ability to then get more resources out of this from your stuff that's been destroyed is pretty good.
Yeah, and
I
other
think-
enablers that have been printed since then also made it better. Like the fact that it's a 2/2 creature makes a big difference in how people are able to use it as a combo piece.
yeah. Depending on how many cards you pick from each color for Mythic, I could see this making the cut as well, honestly. It doesn't have to necessarily be either or, and I think this one has a strong case for being Mythic.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think that they tried to use Echo as like a
It's a drawback.
as a check on the power level, because there
Yeah.
are several of these spells and creature or whatever that in the set that are like, that seems really good. Oh, it's got Echo.
That's definitely on purpose.
Yeah, it's, the equivalent of Overload for the Shaman in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how often the Echo figures into it at all.
I mean, you could just be paying 5 for a reanimation spell.
Yeah, which in white, freaking sick.
Yeah.
All right, so it
Yeah.
sounds like you're like maybe could be.
Oh no, I'm on board. Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely on board. Dirk,
Yeah.
it's not big enough for Dirk. Let me
It's just
ask
one where it's 5 for a 2/2. Yes, it has flying and protection from black, but it's 5, and then you have to pay 5 all over again.
Dirk, let me
Except
ask you.
it's not 5 for a 2/2. It's 5 for whatever thing you want, and you get a bonus 2/2.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Dirk, if this was printed today with everything the same except it was a 4/3 or a 4/4, would you think it should be Mythic?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's literally not big enough for Dirk, is what Brian
Yeah.
said. He is the greenest man alive.
That's right.
What we are saying, Dirk, this is not about convincing each other to abandon your position. What we are saying is that the effect, it enters the battlefield effect, is so strong, the creature itself is nearly incidental, except for the fact that because it is a creature, you can later play a Karmic Guide targeting that Karmic Guide and get it back, which makes it even better, but you're not playing it as a 2/2 in the air. No. You're playing it as a reanimation spell.
I mean, you're on the hook for 10 Echo Mana next turn, but hey, whatever.
Woo! Whatever.
Thankfully, you
Anything
don't
else in
have to
white?
pay it if you don't want to.
I had Planar Collapse. Planar Collapse feels like a solid rare, but the thing is in terms of what it does, is it has the potential to curb what's happening in the game. So again, our descriptions of Mythic were, it's something that the game could be doing something, then ends up making a big right turn because of this thing hitting the board. And Planar Collapse is one of those things that it costs 2. This comes out on turn 2, and it has a big effect on the game because at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 more creatures on the battlefield, you sacrifice Planar Collapse and destroy all creatures. Meaning that if I have my big creature in my hand, am I playing creatures to win with this thing out?
It's like a disc in a certain sense.
Exactly. Except the disc requires how much mana, Chewy?
4 to
and 1.
play and
Yeah,
1 to
4
activate.
plus 1.
And then it has to be tapped. So I get a turn to go, let me see if I got something to take care. Again, this could be taken care of. It's an enchantment. But at the same time,
you have to make it back around to your turn.
right. And that's the thing too, is that if this is out and there's no way of taking care of it, you've essentially, okay, so, and being that this is the same set that has several racks in it, you essentially are saying, okay, you guys are going to hold onto your cards, and now you're going to start taking damage because you don't want to play your creatures.
You raised some fair points. My response, again, this is not about saying anybody's wrong.
No.
Is that you're wrong. No, I'm sorry.
I
My response,
appreciate it.
whenever we look at a set and we look at wrath effects are nearly always at rare because you want them to be at rare for limited purposes but it's usually an effect that you're perfectly okay having at rare versus mythic, unless it does something amazing. Now, does this tip the scales from being a wrath effect to being amazing? I think it really is unique in the way that you can play around it. You mentioned playing it on turn 2, and then everybody kind of goes into a stall. That's one way. Another way is you play this very later in the game, and you can play a wrath effect that, yes, it doesn't hit right away, but you still have mana up to do other things. So maybe you play this when there's a bunch of creatures on the board. You've only invested 2 mana, and then somebody else plays a spell to try and destroy this before it can destroy it, blow up the world. And because it only costs 2, you have counter magic available, or you can do other things. So I don't know personally. I feel like Radiant and Karmic Guide almost crowd this out a bit, but I see where you're coming from. This is it's a really unique card. I looked at it when we looked at it, and honestly, I saw, okay, it's a Wrath effect. It's not like an anti-box. When I was talking about boxes before with Radiant and Legendary creatures, it doesn't mean, oh, it's Wrath, therefore it can't be Mythic. But I don't know if it quite got there for me. But I see your point. Anybody else?
One thing about Planar Collapse. So the first pre-release I ever went to was the Urza's Legacy pre-release, and it was in the old gym in Durham, outside of Durham, and I hadn't seen the art for Planar Collapse before, and I couldn't tell that Urza was holding the Power Stone.
I know the story. Yeah.
So when I walk in the door of the gym, I see this big banner hanging at the back wall, and just I look up, and the first thing I see is like Urza flipping an epic bird to the whole room.
And Mike was like, I will play this game for the rest of my life. Just to
Yes.
spite that asshole.
Welcome to your first pre-release. Have a seat.
All right.
Do you think the art of Planar Collapse would make it onto the art nowadays?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
He's not
With something
actually
that could be
flipping you off.
Someone flipping an epic bird.
I think they would emphasize the Power Stone a bit more, maybe, just to
Yeah.
make it a little more obvious.
I mean, we are talking about the same people who was the vampire who had the third leg.
Oh, God. All right, let's go to blue.
So let's move on. Is everybody going to have a chance today to say something that needs to be cut out? Maybe that should be the name of the episode. We'll cut it later.
We'll edit that later.
All right, so in blue,
In blue.
what do
Blue
we...
blue was kind of an interesting color this time.
What does that mean?
That it was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
color. The English meaning of the words, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Did you not like
how?
blue?
I just don't understand. It's an interesting color. Like, why? And you're like, repeat the sentence. I'm like, what? Interesting
Because I-
how,
And then
Brian?
not it. Well,
Yeah.
How
What is interesting about it?
What was interesting about it was just these are some, again, kind of iconic cards, and I looked at them like mythic, and I have one like way out there, mythic, like definitely, like if you don't think it's mythic, then I don't know what to tell you. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where I'm like, probably not. Anybody want to say it with me? Anybody on 3?
Okay,
Or are we not going to do this?
Sure.
I can try. I can guess.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Second
Paladin.
chance.
What did Dirk say?
Second chance.
That's what I said too.
And what did Chewy say?
I didn't, but because I wanted to hear the mess that was going to come out of everyone, but I would have said Palancron. So it looks
Okay.
like we're split evenly here.
And I had second chance as like as another choice, but again, I'm weird about these cycles, but I think second chance is pretty cool. Why don't we talk about second chance first? So
Get to
Dirk,
take
what's
an extra
second chance do?
Dang it.
You get to take an extra turn.
When?
There you go. You just have to be like close to death, but you get to take another. get to take another turn.
All right, so this didn't work. So second chance for 2 and a blue. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, it's one of this cycle. If you have 5 or less life, sacrifice second chance and take an extra turn after this one. This is back in the day when you had mana burn, and it was a little easier to manipulate your life total. Very much easier to manipulate your life total.
Mm-hmm. Because of mana burn, yeah. It's like end of your turn, I'll float 6 mana, and all right, I get an extra turn. But yeah, and also nowadays, taking extra turns is solidly in Mythic.
Yeah, that's true. Like, when they reprinted Time Warp, and it's straight up for 5 mana, take an extra turn, and it was Mythic.
Yeah, and I think they would have done that back then too.
I could definitely see second chance being Mythic. It's a little conditional, but you can either manipulate the game so you can get there faster, or in the course of the game, if they're trying to get you from 20 to 0 life, unless they are basically building up for one big attack, this is something that the game may head toward on its own anyway. Like Planar Collapse, yes, the owner of Planar Collapse can play their own creatures, but you can decide as the opponent, play one big guy, or you can maneuver around it. This is a little harder, unless you're just going to go, I'm going to take you from 10 to 0. Second right, baby. Dirk, not Dirk, you were on top of it. You wanted this. Chewy, what do you think about second chance?
I'd completely forgotten about mana burn at the time. So, and the ability to easily lower your life total. So yeah, probably.
Okay.
Otherwise, like today, I think they could print this at rare. Because there's not an easy way to without an easy way to manipulate your life total.
Not nearly as easy. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, there could be cards printed in standard, for instance, that said, no mana, pay a life to do a thing, that you wouldn't want alongside this card.
Yeah.
But I think without something like that, it could probably, maybe, possibly pass it
without
rare.
A mechanic built into the rules of the game.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mythic Conscription purposes, this could be Mythic, especially at the time it was printed. Nowadays, a little less likely, but we'll see. All right, so let's talk about Palinchron.
Yeah, so Palinchron might be the one of the problems of history creeping up and influencing us.
It might be, but let's talk about it for just a minute. So, Chewy, what's it do?
So it's an illusion for 5 blue, a 4/5 flying illusion. When it enters the battlefield, it's one of these: untap up to 7 lands. Now, that by itself is bad enough. But we're not done yet.
We can't put too much weight on that, though, because clearly they didn't understand the implications of this.
Oh, we can totally blame them for it.
Yeah. Now, this mechanic was in the previous set, right? I seem to remember us talking about it.
Yes, it was.
It was. As was the Academy. So when this was printed, Academy was already in the environment.
Yeah, Great Whale and Peregrine Drake were in Urza Saga. Can't remember if there was anything else. And then Palinchron and Cloud of Fairies and Snap and maybe something else I'm forgetting were in Urza's Legacy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what showed up in Urza's Destiny, if anything.
But the part of this that makes it problematic is the activated ability. 2 blue, return Palinchron to its owner's hand.
And you might hear this and go, okay, so it costs 7 to play, and even though I'm getting to untap those lands, I'm having to pay 4 to get it back. That's a total of 11 mana. That's fine. The problem is when you have things like lands that tap for more than 1 mana, of which we had a cycle of those lands in the previous set. Like
Yeah,
not even
and
last
just
year.
just to back up a step, it's not even 11 mana to play it and have mana up to return it, because you get those lands untapped.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
really
true.
just it's really just the 4 after you make the initial 7. So it's a
Yeah.
great big beefy fleeting image,
Yeah, even
which was also
even,
printed at rare right next to it.
Yeah, it is. Poor fleeting image. But you can play fleeting image on turn 3. You can't really play this on. Well, you shouldn't be able to play this on turn 3. But Mike makes a good point of even without shenanigans, this is a card that you will always be able to play it, block, put damage on the stack, because that's a thing back then, and bounce and have the mana to play it again next turn. That itself doesn't make it rare, but that doesn't make it mythic, but that makes it pretty good.
When it was printed, no, but later in the year when classic 6th edition rules were introduced, yes.
So not the time it was printed, but within 6 months
Yeah.
is when we got damage on the stack. Still, I feel like the fact that you've got the tie-in with the untap X lands mechanic, and the fact that it's the only one that has this built-in get it back to then repeat the cycle, even if they didn't know, wow, this is going to be ridiculous. I feel like this. I still feel like this is mythic. I'm holding strong to this assertion pretty well. You guys can tell me if you feel differently. Chewy, you had also said Palinchron. Do you still feel like that's the case, or maybe not as much?
I mean, I still think it's a problem. But again, I don't know if that is as printed a problem or history influencing my decision. I just saw Palinchron and went, "Yep."
Yeah, but actually, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Let's say, actually, when I think about it some more and consider the reasoning that Brian gave for Radiant that ended up convincing me on that, it's big, it's cool, it's flashy. I could see that.
I would almost also make a separate argument. While we see more of this for rare versus uncommon, there's a limited balancing aspect to this as well. Now, I don't know they did as much of that back in the day, but assuming that they give any thought to sealed and draft at all, would you rather see this show up at rare or mythic? Because I feel like players wouldn't want to see this a whole lot. I mean, maybe they want to like open it, but that's not a very healthy playing environment, Just a thought. Dirk, any thoughts on Palinchron?
I mean, it was one that whenever I was originally looking through Blue, it was essentially the one I was going to go with, and then I looked at Second Chance. I was like, nah, I think Second Chance for me edges it out. But it was my close second.
If you could have two cards in each color, you feel like it would probably be a safe pick.
Yeah.
But you would still pick Second Chance first, ironically enough.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Anything else in Blue that jumped out to anybody?
No.
No.
Like, Delusions of Mediocrity is actually funny.
It's a safe Delusions of Grandeur. And by safe, I don't mean super safe, but
10 is a lot different than 20.
Yes.
And also, it doesn't have the built-in countdown of this is going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty then. So, this was weird. When we got to black in Urza's Saga, I was like, wow, half of these could be mythic. And I feel like in a lot of sets, I don't know whether it's my personal preference, whether it's the preference of the designers to be like, cool card, make it black, or anything like that. But I feel like usually for me, black is one of the hardest colors to narrow it down. I got nothing here. I'm
so glad I'm not
nothing.
the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, Brink of Madness. No.
Nothing here strikes me as mythic.
No. Like Lurking Scourge. Oh, it costs 2 for a 3/2 imp that flies that needs something.
I mean,
I
it's
was like-
good, but it's pretty efficient. But Mythic, no.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, No Mercy is no Subversion. I love Subversion. It is not Mythic. And I was
Not
looking at
at
the Plague
all.
Lord going, "You're it, buddy." And I read it again, and I'm like, "You're not it, are you?" Like,
Plague
I-
Lord's good
I
because you can
feel like-
throw other creatures for free.
So of these 6 cards, Plague Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, I don't know if you can even hear it in my voice. I'm hunching my shoulders up and doing the,
I could
My
hear that
hands?
actually.
I was going for it. I didn't know how much of it came across.
So yeah, the
I-
Phyrexian Plague Lord for 3 black is a 4/4 carrier. Completely never realized that it was still a carrier. What a bizarre creature type. Yeah, it's a 4/4 for 5 that you can tap and sacrifice it to give target creature -4/-4 until end of turn. Or, and this is the powerful bit, sacrifice a creature, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. There's no mana cost, there's no tapping. So it's pretty...
It just grabs a rat, throws at somebody, and then they get sick.
and they get sick, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Or it grabs a kobold, or it grabs a angel. It grabs whatever, it throws it, and that somehow makes people sick. It's don't ask.
Grabs a soldier and throws it at someone.
Yeah, and the guy it hits goes like,
Okay,
What you hit me with?
yeah, not trying to get too morbid, but like, wasn't it a strategy in ye olden times to when you're sieging a castle or a town with walls to be like, hey, we got dead people, we got rats and things, send them over the wall. So this is like that, but it's like, hey, little goblin that's on my side already. He's like, yeah, boss. He's like, I'm gonna stuff you full of disease, and then I'm gonna chuck you at him.
That'd be totally
Okay.
fine for the goblins. Because they're used to being cannon fodder.
Yeah, but this seems like a bad way to go. I mean,
Step
like,
1, load your cousin into
Load
the
your
cannon.
cousin.
Step 2, find a new cousin.
I get that, but being blown out of a cannon, I mean, you do that in Secret of Mana just to move around the map. But being stuffed full of disease, that's, I don't know. Phyrexian's got a Phyrexia, I guess.
That'll be in the gritty reboot of Secret of Mana.
wow.
I got nothing for that. I am just, we don't really need to spend a whole lot more time. It's just kind of
No.
like,
There's
Black?
nothing good in black.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing good, but this is like the best we got. And Pinball Witch points out that this is historically probably the best choice, just as far as looking back at what was important.
I do want to throw out a quick little mod is that it's not to say that none of the stuff here is good. It's just none of it is mythic.
yeah.
The stuff here like Subversion was the one I picked. And the only reason why I picked it was
That's probably my
it's
fault.
a really cool mechanic,
Mhm.
Chewy plays
but it's
Subversion a
very
lot.
solidly a rare.
See,
Yeah.
if I was going to pick one other one, like it just had to, it would be No Mercy
Same here.
Yeah.
because this is an enchantment block. It looks a whole lot like an artifact block, but it was supposed to be an enchantment block. You may have ways. We don't have a academy. Who's the guy when he dies you get an enchantment? We don't have a meet. We don't have
Academy
the.
Rector.
We don't have an academy rector yet, do we? Is he in the next set?
Yes.
But there are still, enchantments are a heavy theme, and this feels like one where it could be very debilitating if it comes out early. It shuts down a lot of strategy. It's not mythic. It's just not. It's really cool, but it's not mythic. So, any more discussion? Once again, I usually feel like black. I'm like, this is mythic, and this is mythic, and this time I'm like, huh. But shall we move on to red?
Sure.
Okay.
Bye, Plague Lord.
All right. So this felt like another fairly easy one for me. One that I'm like, yes, I feel like it would be Mythic back then. One that probably wasn't Mythic then, but I kind of feel like history is almost screaming, wow, this would, if it was printed now, it'd have to be Mythic. And then 4 other ones that are like, eh. So my absolute positive clear choice would have been a Mythic then is Shivan Phoenix.
Yes, I agree.
It's always nice to hear that from Mike. So
this was the only thing that, just based on sheer power level, made me go, huh? For back then.
For back then, yeah.
Yeah, from back then.
We see this.
Yeah, nowadays we would look at Goblin Welder and see how, again, subverting mana cost completely is pretty powerful. So that's a problem. But they didn't feel the same way about that at the time, obviously.
We'll get to Goblin Welder in a minute. Because I do want to talk about that. But Shivan Phoenix. For 4 and 2 red, it's a Phoenix. It has flying, and it's a 3/4. And when it dies, return it to its owner's hand. And nowadays, with a lot of sets, we get something with a Phoenix ability, usually on a Phoenix type creature. But it's dead, but you can get it back under whatever conditions. If you've got Metalcraft, or if you do whatever this set wants you to do. But in an age when you're not exiling a whole lot of stuff, and the fact that it comes back to your hand for free, and it's got decent stats at the time for a 6-mana creature, this it's resilient, it's bulky, it flies, so it's evasive, and it's very, like, the flavor on here, you get it, you see the name Phoenix, you're like, okay, and you read what it does, and it's just home run.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's a strong effect. Mythic all the way. Anybody feel differently or want to expound or impound or expound? Or those all sound vaguely unhealthy, but anybody doing anything with that?
Are we taking this one to Pound Town? Is that what I heard? Do I have to cut that? I have to cut that.
All right, so Mike, you need to say something inappropriate.
All right. I'll try to come up with something cool to say about Italians.
But
Whoa!
have you watched The Irishman? Hey, Saint Saigo just subbed for the 9th month, and people got some emotes, because that's a thing they're doing. Cool. I got one. What did I get? I never get emotes from these things. I got this turtle dove. Hey, look at that.
Did you get 2 turtle doves?
No, just the one.
Oh.
But it's an emote, so I can just click it twice and.
Oh, there you go.
And nailed it. There we go. 2 turtle doves and an emote in the Twitch chat. Okay. Well, thank you, Saint Saigo. Now, Shivan Phoenix, right? Are we good?
We're good.
All right. So Goblin Welder.
Yeah, let's talk about the Goblin Welder in the room.
He smells.
Would it be Mythic at the time? I don't really think so. But it's busted, like, in half. Like, what formats does this see play in? Anywhere it's legal?
Yeah. Basically.
I have no idea if this sees play in anything, does it?
I thought it did.
It's got to see play in, like, Vintage, right? I don't remember seeing Goblin Welder much in Legacy, but I also haven't looked real hard at Legacy decks in a long time.
Yeah, and like those crazy prison decks. Yeah, it's legal in Legacy and Vintage.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at legality, and it's legal in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. I thought it had been I thought it had been banned at some point, but maybe I'm not.
Probably. Ooh, let's go look. Control F. Control F. For God's sake. Control F. Welder. 0/0. It has never been banned
Wow.
at all, apparently.
Okay, maybe I'm overestimating the power level of this card.
No, you're not.
Okay, good to know.
Like I said, completely circumventing mana cost is very good.
Yes.
Yeah, let me sacrifice this stupid little whatever thing for this artifact that costs 8.
I mean, you
Totally
can
fair.
literally go Goblin Welder, play a what's the Dark Steel artifact land? You
Dark
can
Steel
play
Citadel. Yeah.
you can, if you want to be on the right color, you can play a Molten Furnace with this guy and get a Worm Coil Engine or a Mind Slaver with some mana to activate it or something, or whatever.
Real quick, what it actually does, because we didn't say that. For a red mana, it's a Goblin Artificer. For a red mana, he's a 1/1. And you tap. Oh, Lord. In order to make it work with the rules, they had to make it sound like this, so I'm just going to read it. Choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact card in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as this ability resolves, the player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield.
Yeah. The printed text uses the word exchange, but the rules don't support an exchange like that.
Right. Because exchange in Magic rules means control between two players, if it's even used at all, right?
Yeah, it means control of permanence on the battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also exchange life totals.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But exchanging something from play
Between
and
zones.
graveyard in the same player is... no.
Is it bad that I now want to see an effect that says exchange control of two? Oh, come on, Brian. Emblems. Exchange control of two emblems. Kind of want to see that now.
I'm really surprised that you said Brian instead of Brain. And my first thought was, no, it's spelled Brian. But Brain. But shut up, Chewy.
So, Goblin Welder.
Yeah, Goblin Welder nowadays is completely insane. But
Ridiculous.
given how often they printed crap that, as Mike keeps saying, completely circumvents mana cost, it should be Mythic, but I don't know if it would have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I
All
just
right.
don't know.
We are good at this.
We are so good at this. Luckily, we do this according to our own rules. Anything else in red? Dirk, you've been a little quiet. Anything you feel like in red that we haven't talked about?
Dirk, you are muted or not there.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Anything in red, Dirk?
Just refuses to answer your stupid question.
Dirk's like, shut up, Brian.
That was it.
Okay. Green.
All right.
This is an interesting color. Of course,
so
I got in
green
trouble
is,
last time I
is
said
where
that.
I had a couple.
Yeah, I had one absolute and then one that I thought was kind of right behind it, and then the others I thought were still kind of interesting. What do you think, Chewy? What was your most absolute that you feel best about?
So because of personal experience, I went with Defense of the Heart.
Me too.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mike?
Yeah, I think Defense of the Heart is fair.
Oh, it's not fair, but
No, it's not fair to have it used against you.
You know what I mean.
yes, I know.
So
It's a good choice.
Defense of the Heart for 3 and a green is an enchantment. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, it's another in that cycle. If an opponent controls 3 or more creatures, sacrifice Defense of the Heart, search your library for up to 2 creature cards, and put those cards onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library.
So
I love this card.
I think it's Mythic because 2 creatures, like any 2 creatures,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that changes the game. That can change the game on a dime.
And it's Mike
And it has
completely
changed our game on a dime
Oh,
when
yeah.
the
This is
person
how you
played
set
that,
up combos.
and we all thought, "Oh no, something bad is about to happen."
This is how you set up combos.
it's also completely circumventing 2 mana costs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, your opponent has to have 3 creatures, but
That
if you're
to
playing
me-
this, you don't care.
Yeah, and it's not like they have to have 3 more creatures than you. They just have to have 3 creatures.
Exactly.
Yeah. That to me kind of almost kept it away. I just felt like there were others that I liked a little more than this. Don't get me wrong, this is an incredibly powerful effect. But the fact that your opponent does have some control over it, whether or not it actually goes off, I was like, If it wasn't for some of these other green cards, I think I would be more in favor of it. I see where you guys are coming from, though. I'm not disputing. I feel like my personal history with this is almost taking me a little too close to Mythic because we've seen some rather ridiculous stuff done. And back in the day, creatures were still good, especially green creatures, but they weren't great as a rule. So
Pinball Witch made an interesting point. She said she
What?
feels that the Defense of the Heart is like Goblin Welder. It should have been Mythic, but wouldn't have been back then.
it's another one where literally every time you print a new creature, it gets better, but they underestimate that sort of effect.
Well, see, with Goblin Welder, their blind spot for it would have been like if you're using it for yourselves, like no, you have to sacrifice something first. There is a cost to this. That's what their blind spot for Goblin Welder would have been. Defense of the Heart, I view more something like, the reason I gave for why I thought Karma Guide would be an option. You're getting 2 creatures for some fair payment of mana. It's a flashy effect. That's why Defense of the Heart to me is different than something like Goblin Welder.
You're not really giving any. Well, you're giving up that board position, though, Mike. That's your sacrifice. But then, like you said, it's not 3 creatures more
No, you're
than
not.
you.
I mean, Defense of the Heart will still fire if you have 8 creatures on the board, just as long as your opponent has 3 or more. You don't have to give up a thing except the 4 mana you spent to play Defense
Exactly.
of the Heart.
All you're losing is an enchantment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, an
But
enchantment
there-
that otherwise doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but
Pretty much.
otherwise, this enchantment may not do anything.
Except once again, it could make your opponent go, "Well, I know you've got things in there I don't want you to play. I'm not going to play more than 2 creatures."
Yeah.
If those 2 creatures are all I need, then I'm good. I don't need to get into an attrition war with you necessarily. For me, a stronger choice, personally, Multani.
I was
Maro
about to say
Sorcerer.
it's Multani.
Yes. Multani.
Yeah, Multani. Let's call the whole thing off. Multani, Maro Sorcerer.
We live in the South. It's Multani.
Multani.
Welcome
Multani.
down here. We got some Multani. We got some. Anyway,
You
He's
got-
one of them there, marrow.
biscuits. Some old and some get some.
we are a credit to our whatever. So
This is why you've
This-
been around the South for too long.
all right. So this
hate
guy
it here.
is
Yeah, I cut
Oh.
that. I offended my group.
so for 6 mana, 4 and 2 green. He's an elemental. At the time, he was a summon legend without a creature type.
Yeah, they didn't have creature types back then. Unless it's like Radiant, it says it counts as an angel.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
So elemental. Now, it has Shroud, and its power and toughness are each equal to the total number of cards in all players' hands. So let's go down the list. Legendary creature. Okay. Important to the story.
Yep.
Had Urza in building the Weatherlight had to actually go and ask Multani, "Can I have some of your wood?" And I think Multani actually said no for a while, and was strong
He's
enough
like, I'll give you my wood.
and was actually strong enough to resist Urza at the height of his planeswalker-ness. So, okay. Shroud.
That's the
Wait.
big one.
That it's and
Mm.
it's huge, and this is a huge creature. And it not only rewards you for keeping cards in your hand and playing optimally, adjusting power and toughness, but it punishes the opponent for simply having cards in their hand.
But the shroud is also there to make it virtually impossible. Not impossible, but really hard to give it flying or trample.
You cannot put a rancor on this.
That is important.
Correct.
So that is not insignificant. But they also they can't blow it up. They have to do something like planar collapse. They cannot use targeted removal. So it gets huge, it's resilient, it's hard to remove, it scales up, it's legendary, it's in the story. I'm just like, yeah, if this isn't mythic, I don't know what is.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
totally.
why I had it ahead of Defense of the Heart.
And I figured as much. That's why I started with Defense of the Heart.
Aha. So how do we feel collectively, ecumenically, about Weatherseed Treefolk?
You know, it's funny. I didn't have the same reaction to Weatherseed Treefolk as I did about the Phoenix.
It's the same mechanic.
I know, but for some reason I didn't react to the card the same way, and I don't know why.
Probably
For me,
because
Weatherseed
it's a
Treefolk is
treefolk, and treefolks are dumb compared to Phoenix.
I mean,
Phoenicians.
it's not as iconic, to be sure, and this may be part of my own experience. I've just gotten beaten down by these things so much. I think Corey played with them that I see it and I twitch a little bit.
I did
And
too.
it's that sense of like you just can't ever get rid of them, and it's got trample. So Weatherseed Treefolk costs 2 and 3 green, so heavy green commitment for a 5/3 Treefolk with trample. And when it dies, return it to its owner's hand. Literally verbatim, the Phoenix mechanic on Shivan Phoenix. That flies. This has trample. Ironically, they get into a fight. Both of them come back to your hand, but Weatherseed Treefolk deals a damage to the opponent over and over again. It comes down for 1 less mana than the Phoenix, but it's more color intensive, so they're actually kind of on the same spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
A Phoenix is gonna be more iconic than a Treefolk. It is. I concede that.
Yeah, I think it's the art. I think the art for Weatherseed Treefolk is just a little too doofy.
Doofy is exactly the word. Mike, get out of my head.
Well, for me, there were tree folks that either were preceded this or ones that at least come to mind. Like, was it the it's like Wrath of the Wild or something like that? There have been a couple of tree folks who have, in my opinion, been significantly more powerful than this card. And so, to me, that's sort of like the Phoenixes. They all say the same thing because that's sort of their gimmick. And so, how often do Phoenixes show up? And that's sort of why I feel like, the Phoenix probably would be mythic because it has that. This is, there have been enough tree folks that have been printed that this sort of feels like, this is not as good as this one.
And
or
I think
this one, and so on and so forth.
And see, that's why I was all about Multani, whatever. And this one was like, I don't know, because I thought that I was letting my personal history with this cloud my judgment. But I see it and I'm like, so. Okay, anything else in green before we move on to colorless?
I'm still hung up on Mike pulling Doofy directly out of my brain. Because I was about to say that. Like, but look, he's Doofy. I wasn't even going to say Derpy, because that's not the right term for this.
Gary has a bad habit of doing that to me. And yes, I know married couple, whatever, but no, literally, I'll just be like, "Da-da-da," and she will be like, what? And I'm like, stop out of my head. It's just creepy. I mean, Might of Oaks is cool, but it's
not mythic.
Yeah.
Deranged Hermit.
The fact that it makes the squirrels and the squirrels stick around, but it makes 4/1/1s for 5 mana. So
Well, they're 2/2s as long as he's standing around.
yes, but the thought being like, unlike the
That is a lot of power on the board.
it's a lot of power on the board, but unlike the Angel that we were talking about before, this one you are more heavily incentivized to pay the echo cost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I feel like it's a really good rare, but
It also made a name for itself in the Squirrel Prison deck with opposition.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop you right after he made a name for himself in Squirrel Prison. I'm like, I bet he would. I bet he would. What are you in here for? Squirrels? Me too. Right then.
Just got to
Okay.
remember to shank an oak on your first day.
All right. Found what we need to cut of Mike's. So
No, Mike could have made that way worse. I was thinking you need to either find the biggest squirrel you can and kick his ass, or become his bitch. Do we need to cut that?
I think we do need to
Don't
cut
know.
that. I mean,
I'm
you
not
don't
cutting any
usually-
of this. So we're edgy now. The mana pool is now. We're no longer a kiddie pool. We're now.
we're not going to be featured on the main page.
It's that's okay. It's a kiddie pool covered in knives.
Blake, if you're listening to this, mwah. I'm selling out. All right, let's wrap this up. We got colorless. There's no lands this time, only artifacts. And before we even get into this, should Memory Jar be considered?
Memory Jar has problems.
Yes,
Memory
it
Jar
does.
does have problems.
One of its biggest problems is that it was banned before anyone could physically lay hands on it.
Yeah, it's what's popularly known as the only emergency ban. Even though technically it's not exactly an emergency ban,
It's close enough.
but it's pretty close. Hey, let's
Yeah.
pull up this ban and restricted timeline real quick and go memory. So yeah, it was banned retroactively in mid-March. They added it. They said, you know what? We meant to put that on the list a week or two ago. Our bad. So technically it was okay. So technically it was an emergency ban, I guess. It's just people make it sound like there was one tournament or right before a tournament they went, no wait, you can't play this. That's not exactly what happened. But it was retroactively added to a ban and restricted update that happened previously.
Yeah. Like
A week or two ago. It just says mid-March in this page here, so I can't tell. But still.
But so I mean,
No
they already had their eye on it. I don't think there's any question about that. So what do you think?
I mean, it's a callback to Wheel of Fortune, so it has that going for it.
Callbacks are pretty strong contenders. Not always, but it's something I look for myself. Have we talked about what it actually does?
No.
All right. Memory Jar. Cost 5. Get a load. If you've never seen this before, get a load of this. For 5 mana. It's an artifact. It just sits there for a while. You tap it for no additional mana. OMG. You tap it and sacrifice it. Each player exiles all cards from their hand face down and draws 7 cards. At the beginning of the next end step, each player discards their hand and returns to their hand each card they exiled this way. I don't even know why this does it for everyone, because it might as well just be like, you do this. Because because nobody else is getting a chance to use those cards they draw if you use this correctly. But
Yeah.
because it does it this way, you're almost effectively milling them for 7. Kind of, sort of. Hey, Multani just got huge.
Yes.
So, Mike, why is this card a problem?
The card is a problem because for no mana, you can just draw 7 cards out of nowhere.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. And your opponents can't really do much about that.
Well, it's not like we had, rituals at the time, right? Dark
Right.
or otherwise.
Or spells that untapped all your lands. Right.
Like Palancron.
Mm-hmm.
Mother of God.
Yeah. The jar is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, it does cost 5 to play, but it doesn't. You don't have to have that be the same turn that you draw the 7 cards out of nowhere. That's the problem.
Once again,
you can just wait a minute and then have all your mana available to you when you get a fresh new hand. You don't even have to get rid of your old hand for good. You get it back later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like this should be Mythic. I think I'm questioning it because they banned it like immediately. So, but clearly it was on their radar. It's a high power level. If this was printed today, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at them printing Memory Jar today. If they thought that this was safe for Standard, I'm having a hard time getting across it. If it was printed in a Commander set today, it would be printed at Mythic Rarity, right? I mean, really? I feel like it would have to. I'm going on too long about this card. I feel like it's Mythic. Anybody disagree? Anybody want to tell me to my face the Memory Jar shouldn't be Mythic?
Then Brian we'll meet you outside.
The better question is these other artifacts.
Yeah, I think the jar probably speaks for itself.
Okay. Is there a case to be made for the monolith, or is it? I mean, it's just mana, right?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on whether we think I guess it would depend on how we. What words am I trying to put in order here? I guess it would depend on what we would say and what we would think about Mana Vault, because it's a callback to Mana Vault.
Clearly, they thought this was safe to do, so.
It is a lot different. Costing 2 is way different than costing 1. So Grim Monolith, it's cost 2. It's an artifact. It doesn't untap during your untap step. You can tap it for 3 colorless mana. You can also pay 4 to untap it. You don't have to wait until your upkeep, like Mana Vault did. And it doesn't deal you damage if it stays tapped, like Mana Vault did. But it's the same basic principle.
Yeah.
They seem to be okay with some fast mana. Of course, this might also be why they were all called into the CEO's office and chewed out. Because they were okay with all this fast mana. But would they have thought it was Mythic at the time?
Yeah, this one I stared at for a long time, and I went, I give up. I'll let them talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Dark?
Yeah. I mean, I think my Mana Vault is the big one. There are several on here. In terms of the Grim Monolith, I see what they were doing with it, but meh.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it doesn't really strike me as being that.
You think it's okay, or
Yeah,
at the
I mean,
least,
I'm fine with it
you
being
think
rare.
you think that they think it would have been okay. So
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, there. In terms of the artifacts that, in general, like you have been talking about, there's a bunch that cloud my judgment in all of it, and I'm going, yeah, I mean, I think that's mythic, but you know, probably not, but to the general public and everything, to everybody
okay.
else.
Quicksilver amulet's fine.
Quicksilver Amulet is the one that clouds my judgment. Just because, I've one of them is like, you know what would be awesome? Dragons. You know what'd be even more awesome?
More
Play,
dragons.
playing an
Free
8-cost
dragons,
dragon for 4.
almost free dragon.
I also read Damping Engine like three times because I always forget what it does.
Yeah, it's got a lot of words.
So I'm gonna read it out loud just because maybe it'll stick. Then a player who controls more permanents than each other player can't play lands or cast artifact, creature, or enchantment spells. That player may sacrifice a permanent for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn.
It's not exactly change up Mephistopheles, but
It's so stupid. Would it
They
be,
really liked weird prison stuff back in the day.
But like,
Yeah.
would it be mythic just on sheer weirdness, as was brought up in the chat? And I went,
I don't
wait,
know.
what does that do again? And I read it and I went, I don't think so, but it's really funny.
okay. I don't think there's anything else that's mythic here, personally. Just to kind of cut to the chase.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mike, what you got?
The only one I sort of had a question mark over was Damping Engine. Like, do you all remember what we said about smokestacks?
I do not. I do remember
Okay.
that history and like current vintage power level entered into the conversation, but I don't ever remember what the
What the ultimate decision was.
yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
didn't have
having the
anything
discussion.
else.
I also, because I don't keep track of like, well, we said this one, unless it was one that really stood out in my head. Like, I don't know, the Myosian discussion. Otherwise, it
Right.
doesn't. I'm not going to remember specific cards.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, like I know Ring of Gix was stuff they used for advertisements, and it was the foil of it was like the chase foil for the set for a while. The
really,
cleanup was like, ooh, it's like an icy manipulator that only costs 3, but not really. But it's not a mythic card.
And Iron Maiden, while it's a band that some people like, it's not a mythic card.
Iron Maiden and Torture, Wheel of Torture. I'd like to buy a vowel. Really, really.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I kind of want to slap someone about the head and neck for that one. That's just
Head and neck. He's not playing around.
Dang.
He's like, bring your head over here and make sure you got a neck too. Like the head isn't quite enough on its own. It's pretty. It's a bit Hearthstone-y as far as the flavor text.
yes.
Oh, God, it is. That's totally a Hearthstone flavor text.
But Chewy, there is no flavor text on Hearthstone cards.
Lies. Although if you play on mobile, there might not be. I don't think they've added flavor text to the mobile client yet,
I don't think they have.
which is a shame.
So,
But yeah, Hearthstone is totally just ripping off Goblin flavor text and Wheel of Torture flavor text. Terrible. Do something original, Blizzard.
does that mean that all of their cards are rare, red rare cards?
Oh, boo.
All right. Are we good here, gentlemen? Are we satisfied? There's no more cards, right? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, this set was. There
Weird.
wasn't as much that was like, oh my god, as in the last set, and in some colors it was like, guess.
Can we skip?
The black was like just
No.
weird.
Mhm.
Like it felt like red, but in black. Because so many times with red, we're like, well, we gotta pick something.
It felt like red, but in black. All right. Well then, dorks, how about some final thoughty stuff? Because I'm sure Dirk's about to doze off.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as late as sometimes. But
I was telling the guys that today was a very rough day for me. I've made several calls to parents today. My wonderful class of youngins that I have, I honestly, I did not have a headache going into that class. Had a migraine leaving the class. And yeah,
that's
it was a very rough day at school for me today. And then I had to do some additional errands in addition to it. So that also put me a little behind where I wanted to be today. So like I said, today has been a little bit of a rough day for me. Which I hope tomorrow will be a much better day, because tomorrow is Chelsea and I's anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
cool.
That would be, wait, don't tell me, 9 years?
2
10?
more.
11?
11. This is year
Wow.
11.
Gosh.
Wow, where's the time go?
Yeah, you're right. Because I was, I had just gone down to Georgia.
Like the devil.
Yeah.
I
Just
just
like
like
that.
how he said, yeah, you're right. Like there was any question that Dirk would be wrong about his.
Well, no, it's just a memory of it, because, you know, it couldn't be 9, because we went a little bit, like, we decided we were going to have like kids right off the bat. We wanted to have like a couple of years it was just us. So before we decided to start having kids.
Yes, and your kid's your first kid turns 9 next year.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I know because my kid is 6 months older than yours, and she's 9 now.
Yeah. Yeah, in that case, definitely time has flown.
Oh yeah.
Caw. Like a phoenix. Or an enchanted treefolk.
Dude.
See, when you said that, there was a line from The Crow that jumped into my head, and I was like,
Caw,
yeah, that's
caw,
definitely
bang.
not.
Yep.
Yeah. Come on, let's not cut that. But now I'm picturing a Weatherseed treefolk, derpy face and all, with a Shivan embrace on it, and that is terrifying.
That's living the high life right there.
Anyway.
So, but yeah, that's my final thought on that. And so, with that final thought, I bid everyone an adieu, and hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Well,
Thank you,
Dirk.
Dirk.
You
And
have a
And
good
definitely look
night.
forward to The Mandalorian tomorrow.
Yay.
Nice.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I guess I should watch that at some point.
We're on the fence about Disney Plus. Might do
That
it, might
amazes
not.
me that you are
Tom
on the
said
fence
the
about
same
Disney Plus.
thing. Like we were at dinner. Tom, not the garden gnome, was like, so what do you think of Disney Plus? And we're like, we don't have it. And he's like, I'm sorry.
Did he almost spill his drink? Because
He's
when
like-
you said, yeah, I don't even know if we're going to get Disney Plus, I just sort of
He's
stared at the computer monitor at your little icon and went, who are you?
He's like, okay, so you just got back from your how many Disney cruises? We're like 3rd. He's like, and you've been to Disney World? And I'm like, Sam has been 5 times. I can't I don't know Carrie and I like a lot. And he's like, yeah. And you enjoy Star Wars? I'm like, yeah, I have tickets for the next movie already. And he's like, okay, so? And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I guess this will be my final thought. We just don't watch that much TV, just in general anymore. Carrie found a show on Netflix that she likes. It's called Heartland. It's a drama, and it's out of Canada, actually. And there's 11 seasons of it. So she's just, whenever we're home, she'll just throw it on. We haven't really watched any of the network shows that have come back this year, except for I've been watching Supernatural. She gave up on Supernatural about 3 seasons ago. She's like, I'm just not really enjoying this.
You mean when the
as much as I
network should have? Oh! I actually have no idea if it's pulled to Simpsons or not, but I just had to throw that out there because it's been going for like 18,000 years.
It's on season 15.
Oh, God.
And they announced prior to this airing, they went into the season knowing it would be the final season. And you can tell because it's a lot of it is, we're about 6 or 7 episodes in, and this feels like it, well, it you can tell. But so Carrie will put on Heartland. Again, it's a romantic drama show, and it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's all right. But so we just, because there's so many episodes of it that we just haven't been watching TV like what's on right now shows. So we had debated about doing Disney Plus, and a lot of the promotions have come and gone, and I just don't know how much we'd be watching it right now. Anyway.
Who's your phone through? Like your cell phone?
AT&T.
Never mind then. Because I know Verizon Unlimited people apparently get Disney Plus free.
There was a window where you could sign up for free or something. We don't have Verizon.
Me either.
So, and part of me is almost regretting it a little bit. Every time I see a new Baby Yoda video go up, I'm like, I'm purposely, because there is a possibility we'll get. We're not like, no, we're not ever doing it. I have purposely avoided information on The Mandalorian. I'm aware that it's a Star Wars TV series. There's apparently a Baby Yoda that's not actually Yoda as a baby. Please, can we call it something else? Because that was very confusing. Someone that didn't watch the show, all of a sudden I'm seeing all this Baby Yoda stuff come up. I'm like, where's this from? And then eventually, okay, it's from The Mandalorian. I thought The Mandalorian wasn't set, way back when. It's not. Anyway, what am I even talking about anymore? Oh yeah, I'm not actively seeking out information about the show. So at some point, maybe we'll get it. Maybe we won't.
Well, tell you what, Brian, if you want to come over and watch Mandalorian, I'll watch it with you.
I thought you didn't have Disney Plus.
Well, it shows what you know.
You do have Disney Plus?
I have access to Disney Plus.
Okay. But so I guess that's my really weird final thought.
So, Random KO threw 100 bits and says, can we get you guys to watch the DC TV series and get your opinion? I don't know what that is.
Which series DC of what?
Series? I don't know. He didn't specify.
The Flash? Because I've been watching The Flash up until, again, this season. I've enjoyed it. That's DC, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we were watching Supergirl. All right, this will really truly be my final thought. We're watching Supergirl for the first 3 seasons. Doing fine. Got to the 4th season. We couldn't finish it. I don't mind politics on show. I am very much in favor of inclusivity. And people are like, well, you shouldn't do it just for inclusivity's sake. I'm like, well, maybe if more shows were naturally inclusive, we wouldn't have to. But sometimes you just got to say, look, we're going to make a point out of this. And spoiler alert, a lot of season 4 is centered around aliens.
What?
Illegal aliens. And yes, this ties into a lot of the themes that are already on the show because she's an alien. But season 4 took that theme that they had dealt with and was like, it made it the center focus. And there's some nuance to it in terms of some of the bad guys as far as why they believe what they believe, and I get it. But when it's in your face, like for 50 minutes, every episode, it's kind of draining. It's to the point where it's like not fun to watch anymore. And again, I'm not saying we can't have politics on shows, and I'm okay with talking about these topics, but it just wasn't like after a while, it was just getting to be like, okay, it's just not fun anymore.
It's not what you were watching the show for.
Exactly. So
fair enough.
So I'm never going to be like, oh, we shouldn't, do this sort of thing. I'm all about like, hey, let's get different kinds of people in here, different faces, different voices, people from very different walks of life. I will always be in favor of that. And I'm not saying that this sort of thing isn't an important topic.
Hey, Brian, you know how earlier you said you should shut up?
Yeah, I should probably do that. I think I've made my point, and I think I've made my point and then some.
You're done.
So that's my final thoughts, plural.
Okay, and what
Mike?
Kim was talking about was Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Batwoman. I don't watch any of those, and they've been going for far too long, and in order to get the full picture, you have to watch them all in certain episode orders, so I can confidently say I will never watch any of those. And Bill, however, has been watching, I think, all of those since the beginning.
I have watched Flash and Supergirl. I have not seen Arrow or Legends of Tomorrow or Batwoman, so it's a little too much homework for me.
Yeah.
Really, truly done. Hey, Mike, you should say something before I start just randomly talking.
I am super excited to see what they do with Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, but only from like why can the CW do this so much better than the Warner Brothers films? Because they're killing it. They're knocking it out of the park, and the movies, by and large, are dildos.
Can you watch it without watching the shows previously?
I mean, you probably can, just to see all the crazy stuff that's going on, but it won't be the same.
Okay.
I'm just curious to see who all they bring in and how they weave it all together, but just from like an outsider being curious how they do it. Because again, like Aquaman was good, Wonder Woman was phenomenal.
I still haven't seen Aquaman, only heard good things.
And the
Wonder Woman,
it's a good movie.
The rest are at best.
I saw. Okay, so it's 2019. It's end of 2019, and I saw somebody on Twitter yesterday actually use hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
Oh yeah, dude, they're all over it. They're never gonna stop because they're that kind of people.
Okay, they need to give up. I mean, I'm sorry, but hey, Mike.
Hey.
How are you?
Doing fine. Do I need to make more political comments? Planar collapse 2020.
Or a final thought,
only if you want to.
Nah. The Urza's Legacy has a special nostalgic value to me because it was my first pre-release, and that was my first. I think that was my first Magic event. Period.
Pre-release is a great one to start with. So
yeah, so I was seeing brand new cards that none of us had ever seen before, and in a room full of getting to meet all kinds of people and
people you don't get to see all the time, because this is really before LGSs, and I mean, there's always been local game stores, but
but it wasn't the same. There was like Cerebral Hobbies in Chapel Hill, but the people there were mainly like playing Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer and whatnot. They had tables in the back room for Magic and Star Wars, but it wasn't the same.
And I mean, I went to this venue that you're talking about where they had the pre-releases, because this is back when like you had one pre-release per state.
Mm-hmm.
And this a giant auditorium, and I'm just picturing it, a young Mike with no beard coming in, and there's that giant Urza flipping you off, and you're like, I'm home.
Exactly.
Cool. So I can see why this set in particular has a lot of
Yeah.
meaning to you.
And Beast of Burden was the pre-release card,
Yeah, it
and I
was.
still have mine. And the foil stamp of the date has like half worn off, but still mine, and I still love it.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, really.
I thought it was all about doing the hokey pokey.
I don't know how many pre-releases you've been to where you did the hokey pokey. I get in
Probably
on
only that one that we all swore never to speak about again.
Right. Oh, and I got to sneak attack a Phyrexian Colossus at that event, so that was awesome.
You're a monster.
See, this time Chewie reached into my brain and said what I was about to say. So.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Word.
Yours were much more put together than mine.
I mean, that.
But what else is new?
Should surprise no one. So as for me, I've been trying desperately to work my way through Merlin, the TV show.
Heard of it, never seen it.
Well, it's I started it a long time ago and it got sidetracked. I watched like a season and a half, and then I got sidetracked with other things and sort of left it. And I think I finished season 2 at some point and started season 3 and got distracted again and sort of left it. And then I pulled it up one day and it was like available until December 15th. And I went, oh, crap.
How many seasons is it?
5. And they're only, are they 13 episodes? 15 episode season? Something like that. So I've only got the final season left. I watched 2 more today.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only got the final season left. So I'm hoping to monster through that like over the weekend. Because I'm really enjoying it. Like, yeah, I think about like I was already invested in the characters and whatnot, but I think about season 3 is when I really started to go, oh man, and really dig into the characters. And it was a weekly like BBC One show. So, like, of course, every episode is sort of self-contained. And there's occasionally a bit of the larger plot that'll sneak us in. But every episode is still, like, character growth and stuff like that. And I'm really enjoying it. And I'm really hoping to get through it before it disappears off of Netflix. Because I don't know where, if anywhere, it will go after that. But, yeah, I would say, hey, go watch it. But you don't have time now. But, yeah.
A way to throw it in her face.
Yeah. Should have started earlier. So yeah, between that and poking around stuff on Disney Plus, I watched Return to Oz. I watched what was that other thing? I don't remember. Totally Return to Oz though. Totally. Go watch it. If you watched it when you were a kid, watch it again. It's still creepy. And if you didn't watch it when you were a kid, go watch it. Oh my God. It's amazing. Also, Dorothy is a very young, introducing Fairuza Balk. Remember her? Anybody?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, if you Google her, you'd be like, oh! Her. So yeah. Highly recommend it. Also, Willow is on Disney Plus.
Now that takes me back.
Right?
Like, first fantasy movie that I knew as straight up fantasy that I saw as a kid, and I was like, I dig it. Anytime where there's a villain where his face is basically a skull, even if it turns out to a mask, I'm like, you know what? I think I can enjoy this.
I'm in.
Yeah. It's cool, and they got skulls, and they got swords, and they fight with the swords. I'm here to take my money.
One of my favorite bits when I was a kid was the 2 brownies are arguing. He's like, we're going this way. He's like, look, who is in charge? I am in charge. You're not in charge. You don't get to say which way we go. And the other one goes, okay, fine then. Which way are we going? And he points the same way and goes, this way. And for some reason, I thought that was hilarious when I was a kid. And you know what? It is. So shut up.
I'm okay with that.
But Also, speaking of dumb old fantasy movies that I watched when I was a kid, the movie Krull, Krull, is on, I think, Crackle, which is a free streaming service.
Wasn't Krull?
Do what?
Go ahead.
But yeah, Krull is it. It's another one of those random fantasy movies, like I said, that I watched when I was a kid, and it's on Crackle, which is free, and I added it to the list. And once I'm done with Merlin, I'm gonna watch it.
Was Krull the god or goddess in Conan?
That would be Crom.
Crom. Okay. Krull, Crom. Okay. The way Arnold says it,
Nah. Also, Die Hard is on Crackle, which I watched last night. Started it way too late, but that's such a great movie. And you know what? Hot take, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Die Hard is a movie that takes place at Christmas. That is not the same thing.
Okay. I mean, I think for some people that's the entire criteria.
Well, those people are wrong. Christmas movie implies that Christmas is relevant somehow.
That you raise honestly, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you raise a good point.
And this is coming from someone who hates Christmas. I do. I said it. I hate Christmas. But it's still not a Christmas movie. A lot of people think it's cool. They're like, oh, it's the best Christmas movie. No.
It's a good movie.
It is a brilliant movie. It's not a Christmas movie.
Neither Jesus Christ nor Santa Claus plays any kind of part in this movie. So
there is a Christmas tree in some of the shots. It falls over, spoilers, at one point after one of the explosions. But
doesn't somebody say ho ho ho?
Yeah, he does write ho 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 on the. Now I have a machine gun.
Oh, now I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho.
And there's Christmas music, but again, Christmas is just sort of incidental. That's like The Walking Dead is not a zombie show.
The Santa Claus is a Christmas movie.
Yes, Home Alone is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
It was something I saw on Facebook that I shared to my brother's page. Someone saying, Die Hard wasn't originally a Christmas movie. The script was edited by Constantine in 336 to align with the solar cycle.
Yes.
And someone responded saying it was declared a Christmas movie at the Council of Nicaea. I can't believe I have to get mad about this.
Oh my god. Also, Gremlins, not a Christmas movie?
Never seen the first one.
Oh god. The first one alternates between an absolutely like a family-friendly, awesome, cute little movie into a straight-up horror movie into a goofy like horror comedy, all in the same film. I watched it, I think, last year and had all of these reactions. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I remember. Jesus, what the? Oh my god! And then I was like, what? Now we're doing that? Now it's goofy? What? Like, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I only ever saw the second one.
Do not show Sam the first Gremlins movie just yet. I'll just leave it at that.
I got you. I appreciate it.
Because when Mom goes full on murder Mom and just starts putting gremlins, the evil gremlins in the microwave, I was like, what the? Like, damn. Anyway. Okay, I guess I'll stop talking about random stuff now. So,
that's my job.
On the content creation front, right now we're full on into Link's Awakening. Like, we're going hard on Link's Awakening because that's what I have recorded to edit. I also recorded a Chewy vlog earlier today about some driving experiences that I've had the last 3 days. This has not been a good last 3 days for me in driving. I was like, I'll tell this quick story. It'll be a short Chewy vlog. It's almost 20 minutes long because you know how I am when I tell stories. So, yeah, I like I said, I recorded that and rendered it right before we started the show. So that'll be going up. Possibly it'll be the video that goes up after this podcast does, because, if I'm able, I like to have a second video to go up after the podcast. Or it might be its own thing on a separate day, depending on how far ahead I get. So, I don't know yet. But anyway, I've got another one planned. I actually went to a Sheets and filmed some example footage for this other Chewy vlog that I want to do, but I have to figure out how to put all that together, which won't take long. I just haven't taken the time to do it yet. So I have another Chewy vlog coming. I just enjoy ranting about things. So what? Kim, why do you keep asking if Brian's still here? Can you not see the screen? Brian, are you still here?
I am still here, yes.
Yeah. He seems to get you and Dirk confused sometimes. So I did send him the link, but he hasn't listened to it yet.
Nope.
But anyway.
He sent it to me right before we were going to get started.
Yeah, literally seconds before we started the show.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so that's what's going on YouTube. Here on Twitch, I streamed, Link's Awakening. I streamed some Dota Underlords. What did I stream? Did I stream something else just recently? It's been a really bizarre few days, so I honestly am having trouble.
There was something you put on Twitter about, like, somebody please talk me out of going back and editing this one piece of film.
Oh, God, yeah. For one Link's Awakening video, one of the 2-second fade out didn't get added, or it got deleted when I attached the end screen and I missed it. So it would have taken roughly 3 hours of my life to add in a 2-second fade out. So I didn't.
So you did. Okay. I just was checking to see if that was Link's Awakening or if that was something.
That was a Link's Awakening video, yeah.
Then I got nothing.
Let's see. The day after my birthday, I streamed some Hand of Fate. We've done Underlords and Link's Awakening. Okay, yeah, never mind. That's it at the moment. I have more stuff in mind, though, coming soon. I did buy myself one thing for the Black Friday / Cyber Monday things. I picked up the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle on the Switch for less than $20. Because, damn it, I was determined to buy myself one thing, and I did. So, I'll probably stream that at some point in the future. That won't be going up on YouTube, though, because that's not... It's not really a YouTube-y game. But I will be streaming that here on twitch.tv /the Manipool. Yay!
Yay.
There was something else that I was like, oh, I can't wait to stream that soon. But now I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. And I have closed Steam and don't want to open it again. So, never mind. Something awesome, though. It's freaking sick.
We'll take your word at it.
Whatever it is. No spoilers. That's why I'm not telling you. Also, I really hate to do this.
Okay.
But I'm going to have to cancel this year's charity stream.
Oh.
I don't have the time and the mental wherewithal to actually put it all together and get it all figured out before Christmas. And no one has any money in January, so we're going to push it back to February of 2020. Wait, yeah, 2020. I'll say, no, that's the next year. No, that is the next year, but not the next. Shut up, Chewy.
I've been having to write 20 on files for things that are pushed out to January, February, and I'm getting used to it because it just feels weird.
Yeah. So I'm very sorry, but you can't do it right at Christmas because people have already spent all their Christmas money. You can't do it the next month because people are still in debt from Christmas. And I want to make sure that I haven't even picked out a charity because I want to do something different this year. I couldn't figure out a good theme for which games to play because the play short games really didn't work for me once I'd thought about it for a while. And so I'm just gonna instead of trying to rush it and do something crappy, I'm just gonna push it back to like February. Do like a Valentine's Day. Not Valentine's Day, but like a Valentine's charity stream or something, you know? I don't know. I was going to dye my hair a funny color for the stream and everything, but I can't get it done in time and do it right. So rather than half-ass it, I'm just going to push it back.
Well, and I know that I'm a bit biased because I'm on the show, but I think it's probably more important that you take the time and do it when you're ready for it. And still do it than to just say, well, it's not happening and therefore see you in December of next year. So I mean, this is a good cause, so it's great that you're doing it when you can.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got you back. Even if Mike doesn't.
Yeah, way to go, Mike, you crotch. But anyway, I meant to bring that up earlier in the show, but my bad. So that is the thing that I hate to have to do, but I have to do. And with that, yeah, I'm going to shut up now. So, hey, if you want to help keep all of this Manipool content running, Manipool Productions is a Patreon-funded endeavor. So I do one YouTube video every day. It goes up around 11 a.m. Eastern Time every day. We do both podcasts, and I do multiple other streams throughout the week of gaming streams. And that's all just me. I do all the production of all the things. And it's a full-time job, let's be real. Yeah. So your support is greatly appreciated. There are a variety of ways to do so. You can spread the word, get more butts in the seats, as it were. Share some things, put some things on the social media, some Reddit or something. I don't know how any of that works, obviously, or I would be doing it myself. There's also subscribing here on Twitch, or just watching here on Twitch. All of that helps. If you have Amazon Prime, then you have Twitch Prime, and you get one free subscription token every month. Feel free to throw that at me. I love it. And, the most direct way is to go to patreon.com/themanapool and become a lifeguard. And you get stuff for that. I've really got to overhaul this in 2020, but right now you can get Manipool episodes and YouTube videos early. Like right now there are 3 more. Not Manipool episodes. Link's Awakening videos up right now that you can just go watch. That aren't public yet. It won't be for another couple days. And then Brian broke stuff. You could hear that live.
I almost dropped my drink. Everything's cool.
Did you save it?
All good. Yeah.
Nailed it. All right. Good job.
Good here. How are you?
You can get access to the odds and ends, which is all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manipool behind the scenes nonsense. That is uncensored and unfiltered. We only stop the recording for intensely personal things, or I have to go back and edit out intensely personal things, like when Brian and Dirk like to talk about where their children are after school and give addresses, and
I've gotten a lot better about that.
Freaking social security numbers and all of that. I have to edit that out. Hey, and Pinball Witch threw 100 bits at Chewy. That's another way you could help support. Thank you, Pinball Witch. She just threw them right at me. Hit me in the face. And if you sign up to be a Mythic Lifeguard, you get the early stuff, the odds and ends, and the sponsorship shout out on both podcasts and on the end screen for all of the YouTube videos. So I'm going to do this not in the wrong order this time, because I did it backwards on the last Monday Night Magic, and that messed up my head something fierce. It was hard. It was real hard. So I would like to thank our Mythic Lifeguards, Jason Doan, Kim Hunt, and Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, not Kim Hunt and Andrew Ho. I do not know those two people. Let's just start over. Jason Doan, Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Lance Delicious, Team You Hellas Are You, Connor Kennedy, John Morris, Alex Gonzalez, Scuzzo, Jeff Spencer, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Sophia Brattain, Casey, Fayen Says, Danny Liao, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansons, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Stark Maximum, John Parker, Violet Moon, Aleph Cat. Hope your new job is working out for you well, Aleph Cat. Beardy Man, what? Dan Holm, Bartle, Backwards Logic, and the Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine. Yay! So thank you all so very much. And all of the lifeguards at every level. I literally couldn't do this without you. You help pay the bills and keep all of the lights on and whatnot, so that I can keep just vomiting out this frankly ridiculous amount of content for one person to do. So thank you so much. Now my throat hurts. So with that, we're going to be done with the Mana Pool number 575 here on twitch.tv/the Mana Pool. Join us on Thursdays. It's around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Live. You can join in the show live in the Twitch chat. And also, there's Monday Night Magic on Monday nights around 8:30 or 9 Eastern Time p.m. So, yay!
Yay.
And with that, we're done now. So this has been the Mana Pool number 575. Thank you all so very much for joining us. And go play some Magic.